Hello, beautiful people, gorgeous people. I feel fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I feel so honored and blessed that I got to work on the finals and to be on the analyst desk. It is truly one of a kind experience. I shed a couple of tears after the result, knowing what Mad Lions have been through to get to this point is truly a remarkable journey. Of course, I'm a little bit biased because there's Hilly and Niski, on the other side, of course, Adam and Crowley, I hold them dearly as well. I felt like coming into today, there was no result really that would make me sad, because I think both of these teams, belonged in the finals, deserve to be in the final. And I think the way the story concluded couldn't have been better as an avid enjoyer of European League of Legends. I think there's a lot to talk about. I am not gonna lie. I feel partially stressed because there's an after party that I want to head to, and I'm everyone's there already, enjoying themselves, and I'm back here doing this video, which of course I do by choice because in the end, I like to build an archive and to really blurt out my thoughts, lonely in my room into the camera. All in all, I appreciate that you guys stuck with me for the entire, year so far. And I feel also deeply honored that you guys are watching me just talking into a camera. It feels surreal. So I would like to take a step back and truly appreciate everything. I'm not going to literally take a step back, move my head back. That should be enough. Nevertheless, enough with the wishy washy. You guys came here for analysis, hard hitting analysis. BDS vs. Mad Lions was a banger of a series, and the story throughout, I think, is an interesting one to follow. I'll summarize at the end of this. If you're expecting MSI talk, this is not the video for it. I need to do my research on the ERLs, the minor regions, before I can make, a proper assessment on what the best of three draws actually mean. But all in all, let's just jump into BDS versus Mad. So BDS, they banned Cannon, both sides, every game. This is something that they did against Vitality, but they opened it up once. In this series, we had them prioritizing the Vi, inviting the Zaya, and they were happy to do so. I think that they were in a state of mind where they felt they could pick stronger 80 matchups into Zaya on bot, and also at the same time deny Vi and be happy with the outcome. So in the first game, you have Kennen, Gragas, and Rakan ban. So I think this was a very good way to start. Very surprising that BDS, of course, changed later down the line. Mad Lions banned Olaf and Darius every single game, and I think it was surprising for them to open with an Annie ban because BDS showed no Annie prior at all. They played into it and they've ignored it for the majority of the split. So I'm surprised that they banned Annie here, but at least it left them room to be flexible later. BDS first pick Vi, Zaya Wukong is the answer, and then Zeri Lulu gets locked in. Ari gets picked on 3, Gragas is already out, might as well pick Ari and potentially ban some, of the mid laners that Nuke likes to play. They chose to ban Syndra. I would say that Cassio is the more accurate ban. I think Syndra and a lot of the other mages, for example, Oriana, something that, of course, Nuke played, I think they can't hit the same beats as Cassio. I think Cassio with Catalyst is something that is so strong at first Drake, at Herald, Road of Ages Spike. She's so tanky, very hard to kill. Her lack of cleanse or whatever is just compensated by the fact that she has such a big health bar, right? They also chose to ban the Garen, and then the Gwen gets banned here from BDS, which I think is a very good ban, right? Banning Gwen. Nautilus, Mad Lions go for the Kisanto on 4 because I think in their mind they don't have, a potential counter into Kisanto here when Gwen is banned. I'm not so sure why they chose to pick Kisanto on 4. Maybe with the Garen out, Gwen out, Olaf and Darius out, they felt, he doesn't have any more answers and he doesn't want to play, they don't want to play Jason this game. They really like to play the Jace together with the Gragas or the Sejuani because it facilitates Jace's strength and also covers his weakness super well. So BDS follow up with the Sion Cassiopeia, so they followed the exact same recipe as we expected. Hyper carry in the bot lane, a support that supplies that. Shio on either Vi, Maokai, Sejuani, or Wukong, and then of course a tank top lane and a mage in mid lane. So the way this game played out, I think the big decider was, of course, the big Drake fight that occurred, and I think the big Drake fight kind of highlights, you know, like this situation, right? So this kind of, I think this was by far the best BDS game we saw in the entire series. This is a moment where Mad Lions showcased, that their basics weren't on point at the beginning of it all. Because ideally, look at this setup. Mad Lions, if they pull out the Drake here into the pixel, everything is good. The enemy is not grouped up together, and you're going to have a fantastic time. But the fact that this fight played out in a way where, you know, you have Shield steal the Drake, which happens sometimes. But the key thing is, what I liked about BDS is the fact that they're willing to commit here with the flash over the wall and commit all the way into the fight. So this showed, the fact that they were willing to adapt on the fly, and also shows the massive strength of Cassio. She has so high base damages, and if she has mana from the tier and the catalyst, she's so tanky. She can just stay in the fight and heal so much off of the catalyst. Very broken in fights like this. In terms of the conversion, Crowny got kills, Cassio got kills. This was a very, very easy position for BDS to play out. It got a little bit there was some, controversy in terms of the fight. Here Shio was caught and the fight was extended. And considering Blitzcrank and Zaya's on bot side, Mad Lions managed to win this fight straight up in a, 4v3 fashion, which was a massive gold swing. But in the end, Crowny managed to perform on the Zeri Lulu, and this was something that they really had a hard time dealing with. I was very impressed with Shio's playing this game on the Vi, because he managed to flat out charge his Q and find really ridiculous angles onto Kazi to burn his ult and to find clean engages, even in a game where maybe it's a little bit harder to do so, considering he's playing Vi into Zaya, and of course Keisante and also Ari that is very slippery. So I think Shio played a really good game too. This was, BDS playing their cookie cutter style, Sion on Adam and so forth. And I think that all in all, I think this was by far BDS's strongest game. There was a moment here that I just realized that I got the flashback on. So this game is kind of, deep in my memory. So I'm fast forwarding through the highlights. There was this moment here where Sion was caught, Adam got hooked, and he was just pushing too far forward. And I really like the Mad Lions' decision here to just hard pressure Drake. So Chasey decides to just commit all in on the Cassio to make sure she doesn't TP, and Mad Lions just start off the Drake. I highlight this again. Situations like this are not 50-50, guys. If the enemy team has no vision on Nash and they have to face check into you, and you're the one hitting Nash together, you can coordinate your burst and the Nasher doesn't become 50-50. The idea of any Nasher being 50-50, I just completely disagree. I think the team that is on the Nash, hitting the Nash, has the advantage in terms of smiting the Nash, but in theory, their position should be worse for a fight if you as a team is hitting Nash and getting the debuff and so forth. But that sometimes is a worth price to pay if you have an advantageous moment in the game, like a gold swing, an item spike, a lack of summoner, or in this case, Sion being dead, right? So you have the situation, Sion dead now with the passive, Chasey all in Cassio. Maybe this could be played different, right? It was very close. The Cassio ult gets dodged by Chasey. I think Chasey played beautifully. If maybe that Q3 hits, things would get dangerous because Archangel Staff was already procced. With this continuation, right, Mad Lions managed to secure Nasher, and it was a pretty decent moment in the game here. I think later down the line, this was once again Shio on a flank, very, very beautiful, finding the angle, ulting Kazi holding the ult, but just the CC chain onto Hilly here was just enough for BDS to then take it away. The Cassio and the Zeri did a lot of good damage, and Mad Lions recognized, we should make sure that we don't don't let our boy, the enemy Crowny, play Zeri. I'm just gonna move my camera. I just realized, you guys gave me a lot of comments about me talking about map movements, and I'm fucking covering the camera, so covering the map with my camera. So very sorry, guys. This is the most scuffed, production ever, and we're gonna try to make the most out of it. But nevertheless, this pretty much finished the game. We had a pentakill from Zeri. I guess I can highlight that one. We had a little pentakill going. Mad Lions, the fact that they wanted to posture and fight. This was another one of those moments where, they managed to create a circumstance right before this. It's not in the highlights, but basically the key thing here, right, is they managed to burn Kazi's ult. So they just want to pressure, they want to leverage that by starting Nasher. Very standard move to the enemy face shaking into you. This is a very unfavorable fight for Mad Lions. I think Mad Lions shouldn't have contested this, but they tried to, I don't know what kind of, dreams they were thinking or dreaming of here in terms of wanting to fight this. But in the end, they found a Blitzcrank and they managed to close out the game off of the back of this fight. Okay, I guess the Penta's a little bit later. The Penta's here. Huge Scion ult off of the Blitzcrank hook. I think this is why Healy didn't want to play more Blitz in the series, decided a big pike later on. But there we go. And that's the Penta for Crowny. All right. Game number 2. The adaptation that came in here from Mad Lions is, of course, they went for this poke composition. So they have the Vi first pick, and they banned Zeri on blue side. So they banned Olaf, Darius, Zeri. And BDS continued with the same line of thinking, Cannon, Rakan, Gragas. Here, they went for the Jinx. Most teams, they like to go the Xayah into the Vi, but I think in the context of BDS, I assume that they're either going to play Tam or Thresh to secure the Jinx, but instead they played the Renata. Vi first pick, Jinx, Maokai, and follow-up is Ezreal and Annie. Ezreal is pretty decent into Jinx, can impact her and poke her away. This was a very, very standard old-school pick into the Jinx. And it's also, just a champion that allows for Healy to be active on the map, right? While Ezreal is going to take it easy and queue the way from afar. Cassio gets picked on 3, a champion that did a lot of work the previous game. So Jinx, Maokai, Cassio, strong, standard 1, 2, 3 for BDS. They ban Blitzcrank and Ari, and Mad Lions follow up with Garen and Thresh to set up, of course, the potential K'Sante if they want to pick it. But Mad Lions pivoted into this hard poke composition draft. So I really like this into the likes of Renata, Cassio, and Jinx. You never want to be in a position where you hard commit, but the Malphite on 5 is definitely going to be quite strong into the likes of Zoe and Jace. And the key thing here, right, is that Maokai and Malphite are very tanky. Jinx can also choose to itemize BT on second. She's going to be able to regen, it's going to have a shield. So there's definitely like some counterplay for BDS. But of course, if Mad Lions gets ahead and they are winning side and they get to be first on objective, you're going to go through a lot of pain in order to be there on the objective. But on the contrary too, if Mad Lions for some reason is behind, that they need to face check into space, then of course they're going to lose too, because the Maokai saplings into the Malphite ults is going to be a very tricky one. So this is two compositions that are very polarizing, and if one composition is ahead, is of course going to demolish the other one. But I have to say that BDS do have a lot of mechanics built in to their champions here that can create, comeback victories, especially when you have something like the likes of Jinx, right? The BT items start to come in, and Maokai and Malphite are itemizing against the poke, then things could get iffy. The key horizon here, right, is that Jace and Ezreal, when they reach Cyrilda's, that is the point where probably, the game shifts again. So there's a lot of moments in the game where it can be very polarizing if the other team is stronger or the other team is stronger. Jinx, if she picks up a bunch of kills and she can contest and push on the wave, can be very dangerous. It's a very, unclear draft in my mind to say who is going to be winning. But on paper, I would like to say that I prefer blue because in theory, playing Renata, Cassio, Jinx against all of these poke champions can be very dangerous, and Malphite doesn't have like super easy targets to go on. Nevertheless, when we think of these teams stylistically, BDS repeating the same pattern, that we've already mentioned, and Mad Lions going for a poke composition that requires discipline and patience, which is something that Mad Lions struggle with, of course, before they showcased their capabilities in this series. So in this game, I'm going to just close that window down, and then we're going to jump into this one. In this game, right, Mad Lions were in fact in a very winning position. They managed to set up Drake super, super well. I'm going to try to find that moment. I think the This was the Infernal Drake that they got. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right moment, guys. Forgive me. Forgive me. Maybe my mind fools me. Sorry, guys. I'm operating on fumes here because my call time was at 12, and I am completely, my brain is completely soggy and foggy. So, nevertheless, let me just fast forward to some of these Kazi highlights. For the wall, Hillsang finds so much space. 3K. When did it happen? Why am I crazy? Why am I crazy? I am crazy. I think I might have been walking into this Drake situation. Okay. So I think it was walking into this Drake situation. Kazi is probably the craziest motherfucker I've ever seen. Just this moment here. So Kazi can be so damn good and so damn crazy. Like his main strength, I feel like that even if he does this shit, doesn't phase him. The fact that he got away with this, right? So my man is eing forward. Look at this. Look at that. That's just a crazy, crazy view. Malphite ults, misses, Kazi flashes over, and Maokai follows him, and Labrov doesn't have range, and Shio is just in a terrible position. And somehow Mad Lions get a winning fight in a way that I couldn't imagine was planned, but it was a good look. The Kazi stories and the Kazi engagements, they don't stop. Here, the snipe, this was fucking beautiful from Chasey. Like the confidence to pull this off after spotting Jinx on the blue trinket so much later. This is absolutely gorgeous. Mad Lions are in a winning position, and here all they need to do is play time right. They need to play poke, already now it's like if off of this wave and off of the poke they do on Malphite, they're just pushing out towards Nash. They're super, super good. The enemy doesn't have vision. Play around their blue trinkets, make them lose HP to get information in this area. But instead, Kazi has different plans. Kazi has different plans. My man is hopping in and jumping in and absolutely going insane, right? And this definitely put the game in the other direction. I think Kazi had the intention of baiting, but of course, the Zonia, you're going to land on Jinx's traps, and this was just a sign, once again, that Mad Lions don't have the patience to pull off a poke composition like this, because I do believe that their position was rather favorable. Later, as the game extends, Jinx now has full core, and Kazi is getting TP'd on. Kazi has no flash from before. He pushed it too far forward, and Mad Lions were too split up, and is going to be converted into a Nash, and then BDS winning the game. Another key thing that is not going to be highlighted here, I have to say that the way Adam and Labrov played this series was very underwhelming. Adam was a massive liability in terms of how much he gave up to support his team. Sometimes he was supporting his team in ways that wasn't really supporting them. He was just there and looking at them while he was losing waves. And this was, one of those concerns that he kind of overdid it, right? He's grouping up in moments where it's not necessary, and he oversimplified his gameplay to the point that he was, in a lot of these games, very useless. Another thing to point out as well, that Labrov didn't really have patience. He played a lot of these range supports, but he was getting caught time and time again. Even in this game as well under Renata, he was getting caught, he was getting poked out. Very, very hard Renata game to play, don't get me wrong. Very difficult Renata game to play, because the main thing that you hate as Renata is, of course, poke champions. You want the enemy to enter into you. But I have to say, all you need to do then is just stay in fog of war, place wards when your teammates allow you to, and just take it easy. He didn't do that and gave the enemy a lot of gold swings. Have to once again praise, I think, Crowny and Nuke. I think those are the standout players here in these two games, because they play phenomenally well on both the Zeri and the Jinx, and also the Casio games. Heading into game number 3, Mad Lions now showcase that they can find advantageous positions, but they struggle to convert. This puts Mad Lions in the mindset where, we can win, and BDS aren't putting any type of pressure on us to make the mistakes that we are making. We can take our time. Because a lot of it, right, a lot of the advantages BDS got was from the sheer flanks and from great Crowny team fighting and great Nuke team fighting, giving them props there. But a lot of the big gold swings came off the back of just Mad Lions forcing when it wasn't necessary. They could take the time a lot more. And I think this is something that Mad Lions recognized because they definitely slowed down a lot in the game. So yeah, Mad Lions on blue side, they ban Olaf, Darius, Cassio. They recognized Cassio was an issue. BDS continue with the same, Cannon, Rakan, Gragas, and then you have the Vi first pick. Have the Vi first pick, and here on blue side, Mad Lions are thinking, yo, we're going to get Vi, so we're going to just, be in the state of mind that we can play into Zeri. This is where maybe you could consider if you should ban open cannon instead and just play some of the tanks that you do like playing. Just play Morpha to Scion into cannon and then remove Vi, because Vi is essential to make a lot of the Mad Lions combos work. So you're giving up Vi here and you're planning to play Zeri and Lulu. You don't want to play Xayah yourself. That in itself can be dangerous. They go Zeri, Wukong. Jinx Ahri gets locked in and they drop support, Lulu on 3, and BDS follow up with a Jace, Blitzcrank ban, and then Garen and Annie. Syndra is picked on 4 because Cassio is banned. I think Syndra is something that can struggle a lot into Vi, Ahri, Jinx. You basically get Vi ulted, Jinx ulted, Ahri ulted. It's very easy to find resets, right? I mentioned this in previous videos. Mad Lions are very sharp in their 1, 2, 3 rotations. I really like what I'm seeing. Annie gets banned by Mad Lions. They go for Thresh and K'Sante blind. Often you see the trend when Ahri is picked, they like to play the K'Sante. Here on blue, you don't have a lot of options, right? But when they have the Gragas mid, they like to play the carry topsides, right? So you have the big K'Sante, another bulky boy. Malphite gets picked into it. Tricky matchup for Malphite, but usually we've seen globally that he can get away with it. So here Malphite, pretty decent pick, I'd say, into Jinx and Thresh. And it can be, do fairly decent. I feel like these drafts are fairly balanced. And walking into this, I thought at first, wow, BDS are following the same recipe. And then Mad Lions are also kind of falling in line with the same recipe. But the key thing is that they have the Vi that definitely enables a way of fighting that allows you to just throw everything on the key member of the enemy team, which of course is Crowny. So I was surprised here that Vi comes through. I think it's more important to ban Vi than, of course, in my mind, Cannon. But of course, Cannon is also strong. I understand why they're scared of it. But with what, of course, Adam has been playing, the Malphite and the Scion, I feel like there's room to explore. Nevertheless, we move on and we jump into the game. So here, I pulled this up specifically. This is one of the issues here with Adam's approach to things. So he decided to TP in. So this was very absurd, right? So this is a very common window where teams prepare for Drake. The next mid wave that is coming is basically going to determine your level 6 timer for mid lane. So this is a very common timer where things swing. The main issue here, though, is that she was on 19 CS. He has a lot of camps up. He's getting pulled into this to force. Vi has taken it easy. She's on 28 CS, and Malphite is TPing into this situation. We press play, and just following this along, this just looks so absurd. They notice the Malphite TP, and K'Sante is just enjoying life. BDS didn't even leash Drake yet, and this is Adam with 2 Ruby Crystal, no boots, and also no ultimate. What is he trying to accomplish here? Mad Lions managed to crash the bot wave, and even though Malphite is here, they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? What is he accomplishing by being here? Even here, we're hooking Lulu, your Zed is catching the wave. It's like, what does Malphite do here? Is it just, to throw a pizza on the enemy, like a ground floor pizza? Draco's called it. Like, what on earth is going on? And then he's waddling up top lane. K'Sante is crashing a big wave, and all of a sudden you have a 500 gold lead. You didn't accomplish anything. What on earth was this? Boom, plating, 700 gold lead. Proxy the next wave. Enjoy life. This was just mind-blowing what just happened on my screen. Mind-blowing. Vi still CS ahead. Drake wasn't taken. There was nothing that this could have accomplished. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Wukong needed to farm. They had information on the Drake. Just drop a ward. Take it easy. The enemy team is not going to have an easy time starting the Drake as well. Nuke burns his flash, and that is going to, of course, be painful by the time Vi gets her ultimate up. Nevertheless, jumping in now to the game deciding moments in my mind, I think this also showcased, Labrov's tendencies. Labrov, I think, in terms of how he positioned in a lot of these games, were very surprising. I feel like he was always good at playing in the right pockets and playing behind Crowny, giving Crowny space by just not being a target and then being able to utilize the spell for him. But instead, here Labrov is on the side. And it seems like they spot him. Lulu gets engaged on first, and this is the worst way to start a fight. Labrov just is dying here. Jinx gets a reset, and this is the worst thing that you can do into, of course, a Jinx. And then the main question was, after this situation, they get the Nash. Can Mad Lions convert? It got a little bit iffy there because Jinx got ulted on the bot wave, when they're pushing with Nasher, and there was like this split map situation. They managed to get a play on top side, and then they were sieging bot. Apparently, in the highlights, it's not showing at all. But nevertheless, the rest of the game, at least, was pretty decent for Mad Lions. I think it's a little bit later. Maybe it's here. I guess it's here, yeah. It's like looking at this, right? It's like just the setup here from Mad Lions. This was the moment I was talking about. This is a setup here from Mad Lions. It's a bit crazy. It's like they're splitting up, playing a little bit greedy. I think if they just focus on 1 point or maybe Thresh plays behind Jinx instead of showing on the mid wave would have been a lot better. But this gave BDS a little bit of an opportunity. Got a little bit scary there because Zeri and Lulu is on the enemy team. Kazi uses flash. They managed to kite backwards, but the flash ult from Adam gets the 1k gold shutdown. This is not something that you wanted to see because the BDS is on match point. This type of shit can get dangerous. But Chasey completely pops off on the Kesante, and then the game is just donezo. Beautiful. Kazi got, his own penta. I think it was this moment. Even in the voice comms, Hilly called, "Yo, this is penta. Leave him the kill. Don't finish him." Hilly called in the comms right now that this is penta. Niski with a beautiful stopwatch, loved it, and then he gets the reset to ult out, survives, and then of course Kazi sends the ultimate, and then here he's very eager. He cancels one auto, but it doesn't matter. He's just popping off. A beautiful game from Mad Lions. The key thing there for me, right, was just in terms of how the early game went. Chasey's conditions were way too crazy. Adam was very far behind. Like he's level 13 here in this game against level 17. This is just something that BDS were doing all along, and they got away with. I thought that maybe against Mad Lions they would continue to get away with it, but I think that as the series progressed, BDS's drafts became worse and worse, and they got kind of lost and drowned in the overwhelming pressure of the series. Let's take a look now at game number 4. Game number 4, we scroll this down. BDS, they choose to ban Jinx. So this was a massive surprise. They choose to ban Jinx. It's like, are you that? It's like, I get it, but the enemy team has shown that you're going to get Vi first pick, right? And I think Mad Lions would go so far to want to pick Xayah over Jinx when, you're picking Vi. That's the main thing for me, right? It's like, I think they should have stuck to the Gragas ban. And I think if there's anything that you should be flexible about is the Cannon ban. I thought also an additional layer of this, right, where they could maybe find some room to be flexible was if they would consider picking Sion in the 1-2-3. Here, Vi is first picked. Mad Lions respond with Gragas and Xayah. I thought as well, Mad Lions, it worked for them, right? The Olaf Darius perma lock-in ban. It worked, so it's hard to go against it. But what I thought that they would do is just ban Olaf, Zeri, and then Cassio the moment they see that the Gragas is open, because the enemy is not going to take the Gragas away, right? Mad Lions is the only team in Europe that is playing the Gragas, and I think Gragas is unbelievably broken. So, Vi's first picked Gragas Zaya. Already two fantastic champions into Vi, of course. They follow up with Aphelios because Jinx and Zeri is out, and this is the next go-to AD carry, and then Cassiopeia gets locked in as an answer into Gragas. Here, Mad Lions choose to drop jungle, and they have, of course, Wukong, Lee Sin, and also Sejuani. They decide to slam Jace on 3 and follow that with the top lane tank bans that, of course, Adam likes to play. That is the Malphite and of course, the Sion 2, which makes a lot of sense, right? Sejuani gets picked on 4 because Wukong and Lee Sin are banned, and, a tank for Sejuani here for the Jace is perfectly fine. Thresh Kesante get picked, and then the Pyke on 5. I thought this was a very straightforward Blitzcrank game, but maybe after the first initial Blitzcrank game, Healy didn't want to play Blitzcrank anymore, and he just slammed the Pyke. It wasn't the greatest Pyke game, but he managed to burn sums, and sometimes that's all you need. The top lane carry show for Chasey continued, and it started off with this top lane dive. We have a top lane dive here. The whole situation that was spawned from the situation. I really liked how Mad Lions found this window to push them out, and they were willing to take this fight between the turrets. Shio based and wanted to be here to defend. It was a good read, but Mad Lions just managed to get away with murder and managed to also punish here. Shio wanted to look for more, but here is Niski. I feel like this ward, when you place it, it doesn't get deactivated by the sweeper right away, and Shio didn't need to die here. But great start here. Gragas gets a kill, already TP'd back, decent conditions. He also managed to bait Nuke. Nuke just burnt Flash looking for a lethal on Niski, but it didn't pay off. And all of a sudden, you begin to see BDS, the nerves are beginning to hit, and Mad Lions are beginning to really, really warm up to the series and just play better and better and better League of Legends. We continue going forward, trying to... Oh, yes, this one. Adam will not yield. He's playing with no flash because of before, and Chasey kept his, and he gets a solo kill. The top gap was just immense. Absolutely immense. Here, Niski probably throws his worst barrel of his life. I don't know what the fuck happened to it. I have no fucking clue, by the way. I love you, Niski, but this was wild. I just have to... I've never seen Niski have the guts to do just ER flash, like do the standard Gragas combo, but he does his job. Chasey with the beautiful sidestep, it's just a Chasey show. Look at that little jiggle there to dodge the Cassiopeia ult. Fantastic. Really, really nice. Here, I think Healy didn't need to necessarily ult, because I think that Thresh, you should know that the flash is coming. I think that here he could have just taken it cool, because he got TP'd in. It's weird because he wants to get the reset, and if he dies for the reset, that's fine. But he TP'd forward because he ulted on the Aphelios, which fucked him up. So Healy didn't have the greatest Pyke game. Healy knows I love him, but he also would know if I blow smoke up his ass. Labrov, another blunder, I think the story of the series is just, I think Elioya smurfed out of his mind. I think Mad Lions, all of them kind of smurfed out of their mind. Crowny, no flash from before. No Gale Force finish as well. Gets snacked on, and Mad Lions just are completely dominating. Absolutely dominating. And now, when you combine this very, very lethal Mad Lions together with discipline and patience, only good things are happening. Labrov getting caught again, and that's just the story of it, Adam getting smashed by Chasey was the biggest pain point, and then Labrov getting caught time and time again, looking for desperation. Speaking of supports getting caught, as I mentioned, not the best Healy Pyke game, but it didn't really faze him. Labrov getting caught again. It's just a montage of Labrov getting caught. Feel bad for the guy. Really, really bad for the guy. Crowny getting snacked on as well. Chasey hiding in the bushes. Very hard when you're behind against the Chemtech Soul map, because it's almost impossible to put vision down because of how the vision plans work. When you're ahead and you can dominate the enemy space, you get twice the amount of blue plants, because you're using the so-called the enemy's blue plants as well. So it's very, very difficult to retake the map on Chemtech Soul. But smooth sailing for Mad Lions. They managed to get three inhibitors, and all in all, once again, just really, really good how Mad Lions connect as a team. Really, really good how they collapse as a team. Really good how they drafted their one, two, three. Gragas, Zaya, Jace. Super, super wonderful. Very strong composition. And Mad Lions just look by far like the strongest team in Europe. Now heading into game five, BDS seem to just have spiraled, you know. Now BDS go into this game. I thought I thought it was crazy that they gave up Vigragas. It's so strange. I feel like the read on what Jinx did in the game that she carried was very bad. I think it was a very bad read. I think that they should have been willing to play into Jinx. I think that if you first pick Vi, the enemy probably is going to pick Zaya over Jinx anyway. I think this was just such a absurd adaptation here from BDS. I thought that they would also consider, you know, just dropping mid and look to pick Sion 1, 2, 3. I thought this could be an angle too. Like maybe you change up the bans in a way where you ban Rakan, Jinx, Gragas, and then you just leave open Cannon and Jace because Gragas enables both of those picks, and then just pick Sion 1, 2, 3 and drop mid. I think that could have been a very easy way of potentially saving two bans and just picking Sion into two matchups where he does fairly decent into. But instead, they go all the way, ban Kennen and Jace. And Mad Lions is very clever here that they just choose to last pick top, of course. I think another blunder here from BDS, knowing that they want to blind pick a tank for 5, to not ban Gwen is just a tragedy. It's just a complete tragedy. And if you need to ban Pike Blitzcrank due to your AD carry pick on first, that is such a big investment. And the Gwen value here is just way too insane. You're playing Gwen into Thresh, Syndra, Jinx. These three champions have absolutely no counterplay against you. This is just Exodia for Mad Lions. They get the Annie on 4, a champion that got forgotten in the series, but still is giga broken in my opinion, and also Hilly's most played in solo queue. Trash gets picked to save the Jinx, and then Kesante after a horrible Kesante performance and after a horrible Trash performance. BDS just lock in Trash and Kesante again, and Gwen is going to have a fantastic time in this game. So, what would I have wanted to see? I think another layer of it is if you wanted to. I was surprised that they dropped the Casio that did so well. To blind pick Syndra like this, I think is very bad. I think that something they could have considered as well is just pick Jinx, Sion, Casio 1, 2, 3, and then just drop jungle because you have like Maokai, Sejuani, Wukong. You have champions that you can play and pick, right? But that is the danger, right, of BDS being so formulaic in their approach. You can find a lot of victories because the patterns are easy to recognize and the champions that each individual plays. Um, you find the game states easy to replicate, and you're going to come into those matches with a lot of experience because your practice can be very focused. But if you begin to lose, the room for adaptation is next to none. And this is the flip side of it, right? Mad Lions showed us this poke composition. They lost. They showed the Jace. They showed the Gwen. They showed different type of bot lane styles. But the fact that they get the 1, 2, 3 juicers time and time again, that part is crazy. That part is simply crazy to me. And the fact that they didn't lock in Vi, I think if you play Vi Aphelios into Jinx, that's perfectly viable and playable. I think that they really over focused on Jinx after they got pentacled by it, and I think this was just a mistake in the adaptation. I think right now Niski is 10-1 on Gragas, and that statistic in itself is so crazy. But what Gragas does, it enables you to play carry tops. It enables you to play carry tops, and via Gragas, you via ult into Gragas ult. That shit is broken in itself. But all in all, right, we look at the game 5 highlights. It's just a massacre. It was so one-sided, so one-sided. The draft is gap, the play is gap. BDS was very timid. They couldn't really find any map space. Mad Lions took it easy, secured the Rift Herald, secured Sheo as well. That's a good combo from Niski at least. Was it? I don't think it was good because he basic attacked, so maybe you could flash it, but the Violent was coming anyway, so it didn't matter. The first Drake was secured, the Herald was secured, the Mad Lions got ahead, and they just stayed ahead, and their composition is just way better. Um, cool, you got this Ocean Drake, but we took your full turret and we dove your top laner. We'll take that trade any day of the week if our top laner's name is Chasey and is also, of course, playing Gwen. So this was an attempt here. They could have contested Drake, but instead he looked for the Adam pickoff. He managed to survive. This was probably the nail in the coffin. This was a very big fight here where they tried to catch Chasey. But look at the position of everyone, right? It's like Syndra is not connected here in this play. And, another layer of it is the fifth member is also not connected in this play. It's like, where is Wukong? Like, Wukong is in base. Here, Mad Lions were quick to collapse. They have full control of the top side, and of course, Chasey, he just bought enough time. Crowny and Melee with the Jing, the Gwen. This is just lights out, and the rest of the game was smooth sailing. My overall thoughts about the series is, I think Mad Lions began to figure out how much pressure BDS can put as a team, and I think that they adjusted their pacing of the game accordingly. I think they recognized that they could take the time, and they knew that BDS is not going to be that risk prone, and they could choose to basically set up their ideal situation in whatever way possible. I think in a lot of cases you had Karzi stealing mid waves on his own, and I think the key thing that Mad Lions did so much better was that they were just so much faster collapsing into the side lanes. BDS played a very formulaic game, and I think that the way they approach the macro can be very good in preparation for objectives, but their approach to the macro when it comes to when there's no objectives is very poor. Very poor. They don't manage side waves well, and they don't collapse on the side waves well either. And they got away with it, right? And it worked super well because this game is very objective driven. And as long as you're farming on your AD carry and you're catching waves on your mid laner, it can work. But you are leaving a gaping hole in your top lane because your top lane is not going to farm a lot, right? And this is something that Mad Lions took advantage of. They were always first with jungle support to collapse on side. Kazi was catching the mid waves and was playing safe, and there was always a way for Mad Lions to be a step ahead. When it came to some of the late game dances, when it comes to just grouping around mid and preparing for Nasher, this is where BDS is strong too, right? Because Crowny performed so well. That is where Mad Lions, failed execution a couple of times and gave away some opportunities for the opposition. But all in all, I think Mad Lions just showed that they were the better team today. For me, the clear MVP was Chasey. I think Chasey completely gapped topside today. Adam has a very specific way of playing, and he did pull a lot of bans, but there were some decisions that were very, very questionable, and some lane conditions that were also very, very questionable. Adam plays in a way for BDS where he wants to, sacrifice himself to get his bot lane ahead. But today the sacrifices were not really sacrifices. It was just him bleeding really badly on the carpet of BDS and not really having anything to show for it. Labrov as well, he seemed very tense in this finals. I don't think that he played the map as well as usual, and I think that it became frustrating to play against the Mad Lions that was very, very quick at collapsing on side first, and he tried to find ways to place vision that allowed them to spot those rotations, but he got caught in those movements super much, and the punishment fell was very clear. I think also, this pivot to no longer play Casio when it was available to you and pick Syndra instead, hyperfixation on Jinx, opening Gragas. I think these were horrible mistakes. Horrible, horrible mistakes. And I think that this over fixation on Jinx definitely was a very big issue here for BDS. The core here with Shio and Nuke and sorry, Shio, Adam, and Crowny. I feel bad for them, right? Because they've lost now 3 finals, 3-2. It's a very painful one. I think BDS should still be very proud of what they managed to accomplish. I think that they can learn a lot from this, grow a lot from this, and understand, that now they rest, now they feel the pain, and I hope that coming into summer that they will wear those scars proudly, as they will represent the lessons that they've learned from the damage of this BO5. But an additional layer, right? I think, what did I want to say? I'm so fucking tired, guys. I'm dying. I'm dying. Mad Lions, I guess we can talk about. Niski, what a fucking legend. I think Niski was the best performing mid laner in Europe in the spring split. I think that he deserves a lot of fucking praise. Elioya as well, to me, best performing jungler. I think Hilly, best performing support. I think Kazi had fantastic moments and he's definitely in my top 3 after this split. But I think Crowny, still, I will put him a little bit of a step above in terms of performance. If I take the whole split as a whole, I think Chasey was an absolute machine in the playoff run. I think he definitely, he was what everyone hoped Photon would be and a lot more. And Chasey is an absolute machine. I, as a friend and a former teammate of both Hilly and Niski, I cannot say how happy I am for them. I am immensely proud, immensely happy. I feel so blessed to have worked with them and to have been able to watch them take home the trophy here in Berlin tonight. I'm going off now to party with them. I'm gonna go catch them. It's 12:42. I'll catch you guys during the MSI coverage. We're gonna do Champions Queue. We're gonna do MSI live views and co-streams. We're gonna do the rundowns. We're gonna do all of that good stuff. Sorry for this video being a little bit of a scuffed version of it, but I just kind of, you know, gonna rest up, have a couple of drinks, and take it easy. All the best to all of you. If you made it this far in the video, bless you and bless your face. Thank you so very much for watching. Catch you on the Flippity Flop. Boom.